Breaker of this world's chain, we
adore thee,
whom all men love, spotless, taking man's form. O purifier, thou art above the gunas three, knowledge divine, not flesh, thou whom the cosmos wears, a diamond at its heart. Let us look deep in thine eyes, they are bright with the wisdom of God, that can wake us from Maya's spell. Let us hold fast to thy feet, treading the waves of the world to safety. O drunk with love, God drunken lover, in thee all paths of all yogas meet. Lord of the worlds, thou art ours,
who wert born
a child of our time, easy of access to us.
O merciful, if we take and hold upon God in our prayer, it is by thy grace alone, since all thine austerities were practiced for our sake. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Perfect, whom lust could not taint, nor passion nor gold draw near. O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for thee. Thou hast finished with fear and with doubt, standing firm in the vision of God, refuge to all who have cast fame, fortune, and friends away. question thou shelterest us, and the world's great sea in its wrath seems shrunk to the puddle that fills the hoofprint in the clay. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind, yet without thee we think not, nor speak. Love, who art partial to none, we are equal before thy sight. Taker away of our pain, we salute thee, though we are blind. Come to the heart's black cave, and illumine, thou light of the light. Right.
Today is the first day of what is called the Devi Paksha, where the feminine creative energies in the universe predominate. It's an auspicious day because all the sacred rituals are performed on this day. It's called the Mahalaya, the beginning of the coming of the Divine Mother as Durga. And Swami Akhandananda was born on this blessed day. He was born Gangadhar Gangopadhyay in September 1864 in Calcutta. His father was Srimant Gangopadhyay, priest, Sanskrit teacher. He also practiced yoga and tantra. Gangadhar's mother, Vamasundari, was a devout woman. And after having 3 daughters, she prayed to God for a son, and thus Gangadhar was born. Gangadhar, that is the one who holds the Ganga, the name for Shiva. He was vivacious, handsome. When he was 8 years, he had a large abscess between his eyebrows. And the doctors had to lance it, and he insisted that he do it without anesthesia. The doctor was amazed at his willpower. He was extremely intelligent and memorized the Gita and Upanishads. He was not particularly interested much in formal education, but he was by nature compassionate, and he gave his own money as well as food to wandering monks as well as to the poor. He was fascinated by mendicants and the stories about the holy places of India. And he cherished that childhood desire to see the Himalayas. When he was 12, he was invested with his sacred thread, and he repeated the Gayatri Mantra 3 times a day. He bathed 3 times a day. He made an image of Lord Shiva and worshipped him regularly. He had a friend, close friend, Harinath, who later becomes Swami Turiyananda. And they first met him at Dinanath Basu's house in Calcutta. And the young boy seen the master in Samadhi. And that increased his lifelong spiritual, you can say, fervor. He would now and then go to the cremation grounds and imbibe the spirit of renunciation. When he was still young, in 1883, Gangadhar visited Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna says, "Have you ever seen me before?" Gangadhar said, "Yes, I saw you once when I was very young, the elder Gopal, Swami Advaitananda, was present, and addressing him, the master said with a smile, "Oh Gopal, listen to this. This boy says he met me when he was very young. This little one had a childhood." He started visiting Sri Ramakrishna, and on the second visit, he was asked to stay overnight. And handing me a mat, he asked me to spread it and sit comfortably and to meditate. He corrected my posture too, he said. In that evening, the master initiated me by writing a mantra on my tongue. He then lay down, putting his feet on my lap, and asked me to give them a little massage. As I was strong and I practiced wrestling, no sooner had I begun to press his feet than he cried out, "What are you doing? My legs will be crushed. Press them gently." Immediately I realized how soft and tender the master's body was, as if his bones were covered with butter. Embarrassed, I asked him, how do I massage these feet?" "Pass your hands slowly over them, gently." He replied, "Niranjan also, like you, did press my feet and almost broke them." As his visits to the master increased, one day the master was sitting with a lay group of devotees. One of the devotees said, "Sir, is it good that these young boys come to you to embrace the monasticism, disregarding everything else?" The master replied, "Look, you see only their present life and not their previous lives, in which they have passed through all these other stages." Gangadhar continues, "Once I spent a night at Dakshineshwar, and several other disciples of the master were there, and he had us sit for meditation. While communing with our chosen deities, we often laughed and wept in ecstasy. The pure joy we experienced in those boyhood days cannot be expressed in words. Whenever I approached the master, he would invariably ask me, 'Did you shed tears at the time of prayer or meditation?' And one day, when I answered yes to this, how happy he was. One morning, Sri Ramakrishna took me to the Kali temple, Dakshineshwar. And he used to go to the Dakshineshwar Kali temple, but never used to enter. He should stand on the threshold. One day, Sri Ramakrishna asked him to enter the temple, took me in the sanctum sanctorum and showed me the face of Lord Shiva, who was, of course, lying on his back while Kali stood over him. His face was not visible from outside the shrine, where one could only see the top of his head. The master said, "Look, here is a living Shiva." I saw that Lord Shiva was conscious and breathing. I was astonished how potent were the master's words. Up to that time, I had thought that this image was just like all other Shiva images I had seen. On another occasion, Gangadhar went to Dakshineshwar and found the master was in Samadhi. When he came down to the normal consciousness, he spoke of God vision and self-realization, saying, "One's own chosen deity is one's own Atman. The chosen deity and the Atman are identical. The vision of the chosen deity is equivalent to self-knowledge." Sri Ramakrishna passed away in August 16, 1886. This was a lifelong dream of Swami Akhandananda to visit the Himalayas. After he returned from Anandpur, where they had taken a vow of renunciation in 1886. In 1887, he took the ochre cloth which Ramakrishna had given him, goes to his home, tells his father he is leaving for the Himalayas. The father accompanied him to the railway station and he blessed him, saying, "Go, my son, fulfill your mission in life. This world is unreal. I bless you. May you attain unflinching devotion to God." He visited both Gaya, where Buddha attained nirvana. From there, he went to Gaya. And during one of meetings of a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, Durga Shankar remarked, "I talked to you for such a long time. I noticed your eyes never blinked. It is a sign of a divine nature." From Gaya, he came to Varanasi, where he met the Trilinga Swami and also received the blessings of Swami Bhaskarananda, who wanted to teach him the Vedas. But he declined, saying that, "I am more interested in experiencing the Atman." Bhaskarananda marveled at him and said, "I see you are a yogi." From there, he went to Haridwar and Rishikesh, and then he started on his trek to the Himalayas. And it's thrilling to read his entire travel account, which is recorded in his book, Smriti Katha, From Holy Wanderings to the Service of God and Man. He traveled hundreds of miles in dangerous mountains of the Himalayas without carrying any money or any extra clothing, depending on God. Most of the time barefoot, most of the times hungry, and we can marvel at his fortitude and stamina in living in such cold places. He had many spiritual experiences, mainly of the Saguna Brahman type. He also, during his visit to Kailash, he said, "The whole mountain appeared to me as an eternal, uncreated symbol of Shiva." This was not imagination, it was a divine experience. Nowhere else in the entire Himalayas can you see such a resplendent form of Shiva. He went to Tibet he visited Tibet 3 times. He learned the Tibetan language in 15 days. And when he went on the first visit, a Lama in a monastery saw a picture of Sri Ramakrishna with him and said, "Who is this? These eyes do not belong to an ordinary human being. This person must be the Buddha." At Lhasa, during the second visit to Tibet, he was arrested, but his friends had him released. The Buddhist monk near Mansarovar taught him an asana which helps to preserve and increase body heat. When Gangadhar asked, "What am I supposed to do sitting in this way, this asana?" The monk, "Do nothing, just empty the mind." Once a rich gypsy, a host, saw a picture of Sri Ramakrishna next to Gangadhar's bed. As soon as he touched it, he lost outer consciousness. He asked the young monk, "Where did you get this picture? Please give it to me. I shall worship him every day. He is the veritable Buddha. Otherwise, why did I become so overwhelmed about touching his picture?" When Swami Vivekananda was insistent on going to the Himalayas, he had Swami Akhandananda recalled from where he was in Kashmir, and they both went to Holy Mother. And Holy Mother, who was staying then in Gushari, says, "My son, you know the way of the life in the mountains. Please take care of Naren so that he may not suffer from any lack of food." They traveled together from Bhagalpur to Baidyanath to Kashipur to Gazipur, etc. And when they came down to, and they all stayed together in Meerut. In his travels throughout the whole of North and the Western India, he had various experiences. But all these things changed when, after Swamiji returned, and he was on his way to Murshidabad, where during a famine, he saw a young girl weeping because her earthen pot, which was used to get water from the Ganga, had broken, and they were poor, and she would get a scolding. So Gangadhar had a new pot purchased for her, and immediately he was surrounded by hungry children. He bought a little of the puff rice, moody, with the remaining money, distributed them, and then he found that the whole district was suffering, was in the grips of the famine. He started towards Behrampur. He stopped for night at Bhapta village. In the morning, when he was about to leave, he heard a voice say, "Where will you go? You have many things to do here." He heard the voice 3 times, so he did not proceed further. He prayed to the goddess Annapurna, the goddess of food. He says, "I carried a picture of Sri Ramakrishna with me every day, and I worshipped it with flowers and prayed to the Master with tears for the famine-stricken people." Thus praying one day, he finally gets a response. He hears the Master's voice say, "Wait and see what happens." In 1897, Akhandananda started famine relief work, and with several other villages in the district of Murshidabad. It was the first organized relief work of the Ramakrishna Mission, which had been started by Swami Vivekananda. Akhandananda's activities were so vast and far-ranging that it is almost impossible to record all of them. One day there was an earthquake, which was soon followed by an outbreak of cholera. The more Providence tested him, the more he became determined to continue his relief work. He opened an orphanage and started a school for the children. He nursed the sick and taught the villagers the basics of hygiene, etc. And along with this, he distributed the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. Towards the end, in 1934, after the passing away of Swami Shivananda, Akhandananda became the president of the Ramakrishna Order. From then on, he lived both in Belur Math and Sargachi. In 1934, he went to Sargachi, and there was a centenary celebration of Sri Ramakrishna scheduled for February 1936. Miss Josephine MacLeod went to the Sargachi ashram where he was staying and said to the Swami, "Give me a message for the coming centenary." Swami Akhandananda replied, "I have no message of my own, but I have received this message from the Lord. I am infinite and eternal. What is my centenary?" Miss MacLeod said, "All right, I shall take this message with me." However, the Belur Math authorities repeatedly wrote to Akhandananda to send a message as the celebration was only a few days off. They reminded him that the president's message was extremely important for the centenary. Akhandananda later described how he wrote the centenary message. That message was dictated by the master. I was sleeping at night. The master spoke from within my heart. Since these people are asking you so much, why don't you write something? Write this message. Truly, who can observe my centenary? I am infinite and eternal. And then Ramakrishna dictated the rest of the message. Swami Akhandananda says, I couldn't wait for morning to write. I am an old man, so lest I forget, I picked up a pen and pad and wrote down the message. Part of the message is, the dawn of a new age is breaking over the world. The blessed day that will illumine our hearts with the glory of its effulgence is at hand. Knowingly or unknowingly, the human race is moving forward along the path of liberation. Inspired by Sri Ramakrishna's message of the harmony of all religions and the unique realization of his essential oneness of karma, jnana, bhakti, and yoga. The day is not far off when the whole world will witness the establishment of a universal kingdom of peace. And when, in loving response to the call of the Master, all people, forgetting their religious differences, will unite together and glorify the Master's message. As many faiths, so many paths, etc. Swami Akhandananda, during the centenary in 1936, fell sick. His body had become feeble and it was difficult for him to walk. The doctor examined and found he had diabetes. He had cherished a lifelong desire also to give up his body at Belur Math, and that was fulfilled. On February 5, 1937, a cable was sent to Belur Math from Sargachi to inform the monks of Swami Akhandananda's serious condition. 2 monks arrived from Belur Math. The next day, with the local doctor's approval, decided to take the Swami to Calcutta. As he was carried on a stretcher to the railway station, the poor and all the local people, they tearfully bid him farewell, saying, Father, get well soon and come back. Akhandananda blessed them all with a smile. The train arrived in Calcutta. He was first taken to Udbodhan by ambulance and then to Belur Math at midnight. His bed was made ready near Swami Vivekananda's room. Several doctors tried their utmost to save this great soul. At last, at 3:07 p.m. on February 7, 1937, Swami Akhandananda passed away at the age of 72. His body was cremated on the banks of the Ganges, close to Swamiji's temple in Belur Math. Swami Vivekananda used to call him Ganges. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.